Man, I'm so bad about that. Immediately when I start streaming, I don't think about the VOD. I start streaming and then I walk away or do something or have a long silent where nothing is happening that people would obviously click away immediately. Okite. Yeah, what I'm doing is I was reading the Bible and I couldn't figure out how to edit the title of the stream. So I need to private these VODs, but I'll do that later. Let's get right into it. The Bible, an inspired book. I'm not actually reading the Bible yet. I'm still in the beginnings. How inspired? What do we mean when we say that the Bible is an inspired book? Without going into any philosophical definition of the word inspired, it will be enough for our purpose to say that by inspired, we mean... I should probably have something else on here besides this guy. Who cares? By inspired, we mean that the prophets and apostles, in what they said and wrote, were guided by the Holy Spirit in a manner higher than that of any men of their times. Rightly to understand and appreciate this, we must be sure to bear in mind that these men, all of them, wrote in times when in all the world there was idolatry and polytheism everywhere. So idolatry, like actual people actually worshiping like little idols or big idols, like the golden calf. So that was rampant. People worshiping like, what do you call it? Superstitions was rampant then. Is that in the middle of my face? Oh no. So, yeah, they're just giving us the context. There was idolatry and polytheism, so people worshipped many, many, many gods. Before the birth of Christ, when the Old Testament prophets spoke and wrote, all the world, excepting the Jews, was polytheistic. So everybody was polytheistic except the Jews. That is, worshipped many gods. That's what polytheistic means. Men worshipped beasts and creeping things, sun, moon, and stars. Yeah, they did that a lot. Beasts, though? And creeping things. I guess. I'm sure there are stories of people worshipping actual animals. Probably well known, and I just can't think of them. When Jesus was born and all through the times of the apostles, Greeks and Romans worshipped Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, Mars, and a host of false divinities. I did my own quotes there. Well, they're all, yeah, and a host of false divinities, so there shouldn't be. When under these circumstances we find one set of men uniformly preaching the truth of one God, and he is spirit, we are forced to believe, or we are forced to the conclusion that they did not invent or discover this truth unaided by the divine spirit. Okay. Heathen writings. I read this already before I restarted the stream, but I like it so much. This is headed Heathen Writings. The moment we compare what they said and wrote with the so-called sacred writings of all other nations, we see how immeasurably superior their utterances were. Take the Quran, the book of the Mohammedan world, or the Vedas, the books of the Hindu religion, or the writings of Confucius, in whom the Chinese believe. That is so weirded, so weird. Worded so weirdly to me. I'm pretty sure that Confucius was definitely a real person. Was Confucius a real person? I'm pretty sure he was. Yes, he was a real person. He was a philosopher. Yeah, he was basically a teacher. He was just a teacher, dogs. So, in whom the Chinese believe. When Christians talk about, do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in Jesus? They don't mean, do you think that he was real? Or maybe it's come to that. I'm sure in some contexts people do mean that. But when they ask, do you believe in Jesus? They're asking, do you believe that he existed, was born, and died for your sins, and you have a relationship with him? You've accepted him as your Lord and Savior. That's what they're asking. Do you believe in Jesus? So when they say the writings of Confucius, in whom the Chinese believe, do you believe in Confucius? I do. I believe that he was a real person, but I don't believe in him the same way that y'all believe in Jesus, who I also believe was a real person, an awesome person, honestly. He'd probably be like they'd call him a liberal, hippie, communist. They definitely would call him that. Christians these days would ridicule him. And I say that with 100% confidence. You will need no other argument to force you to believe. They'll say, like, he's too compassionate. Like, you have to draw the line somewhere. So we can't just give our tax money to these freeloaders. Jesus would be like, give everything to those freeloaders. Give it all to them. Because it's not about them. It's about you. He would literally, or Christians these days would ridicule Jesus. But yeah, in whom the Chinese believe, they believe in Confucius. He was a real dude. And he had very practical writings similar to the Bible. A lot of this stuff is very, very practical. You'll need no other argument to force you to believe that the Bible writers were moved by a power far above themselves, and that they received revelations from God as to the true nature of God and of the way of salvation. Okay. Prophetic types. That men had direct revelation from God is beyond question. That's a bold statement. The wonderful miracles of the Old Testament are evidence of that fact. Okay, so it's beyond question because of the miracles in the Old Testament. The elaborate ritual and ceremonies of the tabernacle service were not the production of a people just out of slavery, nor of Moses, their leader, who was brought up in the courts of Egypt. This hit me. I forgot that Moses, I'm pretty sure he was the one sent down the river in a wicker basket. Wasn't that Moses? It was. And then he got really powerful, but he brought up in the courts of Egypt. So he was not just some dude. He was like a powerful guy, well known, probably had a lot of what do you call it, pull, I don't know, influence, that's the word, already, like Elon Musk. Nor of Moses, their leader, who was brought up in the courts of Egypt. Nor does Moses take credit for it, of course, because you don't want the people to know that it's coming from the man. It's just another guy, just a humble guy, grassroots, but declares it was after the pattern shown him on the Mount Sinai, the burning bush, 10 Commandments. Every part of it was a type pointing to a kingdom, capital K, that had its beginning 1,500 years later in the cross of Calvary. 1,500 years after Moses was Jesus? I did not. Is that right? Is that right? Sorry. Oh, yeah. The mic's over there. Moses is, wow, 1,300 years before. Okay. Neat. Get this cup out of my way. Was Moses Yes, it was him. Grow up. In a position to gain influence. See him as a baby. I don't care about the etymology of the name. I want to see. Moses had one older. Why was it that Pharaoh wanted all the male Hebrew children drowned? Because this is way before what's his name tried to kill Jesus. So why was he killing all the kids? This time Moses was born to his father Amram, or descendant of Kehath the Levite, who entered Egypt with Jacob's household. His mother was Jochebed, also Yocheved, who was kin to Kehath. Moses had one older. Why? Pharaoh had commanded that all male Hebrew children born would be drowned in the river Nile. But Moses' mother placed him in an ark and concealed the ark in the bulrushes. Man, Wikipedia is so cool. Where the baby was discovered and adopted by Pharaoh's daughter and raised as an Egyptian one day. Yeah, Pharaoh's daughter. So he was freaking... He killed an Egyptian who was beating a Hebrew in order to escape Pharaoh's death penalty. Okay, so the dude was raised in the household of the Pharaoh, if I'm reading that correctly. And so he wasn't just some dude. He was the man. Gee whiz. Sorry, the screen's really bright. Okay. Where was I? Nor Moses, their leader, who was brought up in the courts of Egypt, nor does Moses take credit for it, but declares it was after the pattern shown him on the mount. type pointing to a kingdom, capital K, that had its beginning 1500 years later in the cross of Calvary. Yeah, so that's when I stopped to look at when he was. It says 1300 BC is when Moses was around. Even then, tearing from the top to the bottom of the great veil before the Holy of Holies on the day of the crucifixion was a type which betokened the fact that from that time every man had access to the Father through Christ as the high priest of God. As the high priest of God. Yeah, what I pictured, the great veil in the Holy of Holies is where the high priest would go to talk with God or to interact with God. I don't know what it looked like, that act. But when Jesus died or rose again, I think it was some time after he rose, but I don't know. Details, minutia. What happened was symbolically, but they say really, that the veil to the Holy of Holies, who only the high priest had access to God. But when that thick ass veil, this like, I picture like velvet, or like thick velvety veil, just ripped in half, or just ripped and fell away. And that's symbolizing that Jesus is available to everyone, not just the high priest anymore. That the Holy Spirit escaped from the Holy of Holies and is now accessible to everyone thanks to Jesus' sacrifice on the cross, which betokened the fact that from that time every man had access to the Father through Christ, just like the high priest back before the veil tore, before Jesus died. 3 arguments. And if I'm reading the beginning of this Bible, it's from 1960 something, but in the beginning there's just a lot of interesting stuff, like two religious workers, like just guidance and things like that. A lot of interesting stuff. And so I'm reading some of that interesting stuff. The next heading is 3 arguments. To put the matter more concretely, we believe that the Bible is inspired, especially for 3 reasons. First, because it reveals more truth about God and the duty of man than any other book. Okay, it reveals more truth about God and the duty of man than any other book. Second, because of the fulfillment of prophecy uttered hundreds of years before the events occurred. Third, because of the influence it has had in the uplifting and the purifying of human society. Take these in their order. I think that last one is the one. Because of the influence it has had in the uplifting and the purifying of human society. I think that is its purpose. I think these other things give it credence, or what do you call it? Credibility. It reveals more truth about God and the duty of man than any other book, because of the fulfillment of prophecy uttered hundreds of years before the events occurred. Well, we have learned a lot about prophecy since then. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Nostradamus. Kind of like mind readers, like you say something vague. I'm not going to say, I'm sure there were some prophecies that were spot on, but like here comes the Son of Man who washes away the sins of the world. I think John the Baptist said that. So maybe Jesus was like, sweet, yeah, I'll be that guy. So yeah, I'm not too big on prophecies, because I could make some prophecies right now, and I could make some be true, and it's not that difficult. Second, because of the fulfillment of prophecy uttered. Oh yeah. First, because okay. Third, because of the influence it has in the uplifting and the purifying of human society, also controlling human society. Like, take my mother, for example. She will vote one side no matter what because of Israel. And she'll say abortion too, and I think she probably means that, but it mainly because of Israel. And I just say that just to demonstrate like how it has practical effects on people in real life, like real life consequences and impact. Like, my mom will never vote Democrat because of religion. She wants America to be under God. That's it. So it is a very, very useful tool to get people, to uplift and purify the human society. And it works well for that. I've been wrestling back and forth, like, I don't believe. I would like to believe, but I just don't. I tried for so long to make myself believe, but I couldn't. I failed. And you don't really get the power if you don't really believe. And Christians will say, yeah, it's because you don't really believe. And scientists will say, yeah, because the placebo effect, you need to really believe it for it to work. And I agree with the scientists. If you really believe something, if you really believe it, then it will affect you. It will go from your brain to your body, and it will affect you. Like taking a sugar pill and being told it will make you feel happy. A bunch of people are going to take that sugar pill and feel happy. Some people, they're going to be like, nah, they have doubts that pills work and it won't make them happy. The placebo effect is real, my friends. Israel. That's the reason my mom always will vote Israel. Because we need to be on the side of Israel, the chosen people. Or bad things are going to happen. I don't know. Bad things are going to happen. Because everything's perfect right now. No, I know that's a lazy argument. Sorry. Because it reveals more truth about God. Okay, they're going through the three arguments. We know the one was because it tells the story the best. It reveals more truth about God. First, because it reveals more truth about God and the duty of man than any other book. And here let us pause to say that a book like Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress. Bunyan's? Did Paul Bunyan write Pilgrim's Progress? I thought Pilgrim's Progress was Aesop's Fables. No, it's probably not. Speaks much about both of these truths, but bear in mind that Bunyan got his truth from the Bible. This is true of all books that draw their truths from this sacred volume. What is? They're just saying it's true because it's true because it's true because it reveals more truth. And this is true about all books that draw their truths from the sacred volume. So it's true because it's true, because it's sacred. What? Look at the patriarch Abraham. Remember that he was brought up as an idolator. He worshipped an idol, I guess. Probably a cool one, like a golden lion or something with its claws out. He's like, I'm Father Abraham. I have a gold lion idol and I worship it, but now I can't. Remember that he was brought up as an idolater. Then look at the story and see how he was led into the worship of one true and only God. How could this have come to pass unless there had been some divine revelation to him? Like, how could he change his mind? Seriously? Take the grand utterance by Moses when he proclaimed, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Take the grand utterance by Moses. Okay, that's a great utterance. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, and thou shalt love the Lord. Okay, so he had a change of heart and proclaimed that. And that's good words. Love thy neighbor as thyself. That's what I take from that. And God, to me, I just say God is the thing that I don't understand, this physics and whatever, the chaos and the order and the chaos and the stuff that we don't understand. That's God to me. There's something, I don't know what it is, and all of these are attempts to say what it is, attempts to reconcile it in our minds. But once we figured out that not only could we have a story that eases our minds, we can have a story in a book that will get people to act right, to stop killing each other and to stop stealing stuff, to stop stealing people's wives, to stop hurting helpless people. Because you gotta know, man, it was brutal back then. Life was brutal. So we need some order to this. And religion played a big part in that. And that's good. Okay, so Abraham said all that. That's great. At the time this was uttered, all the world was sunk in idolatry. And from whom could Moses have received this majestic truth if not from God? He could have got it from Joe Rogan. He could have got it if he took some DMT. Well, it must have been from God directly, of course. That's the only answer. The gods of all nations at that time were for the most part represented as immoral and licentious. Licentious. What does the word licentious mean? Licentious? I shouldn't have used ChatGPT for that. And even I knew it and I sent it anyways. I should have just used Google. Because I don't have a subscription. Licentious means lacking moral restraint, especially in regard to sexual conduct. It can also refer to disregarding rules. Okay, I thought my phone was more cracked. Or conventions in a way that is considered morally wrong or socially improper. Especially in regard to sexual conduct. So they want people to stop doing the R word to each other. That's good. The gods of all nations at that time were for the most part representative. The gods of all nations were for the most part represented as immoral and licentious. They had sexual deviant gods that were immoral. Yeah, you probably don't want that. You probably don't want a god that is saying, hey, go, take what you want. See all those pretty girls. Your body is telling you yes. So go do it. No, that's not the kind of God that we want for society to be the kind of society we want to live in. Yet Moses proclaims, "Ye shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy." Such a lofty and perfect morality as this was to be found nowhere in the world at that time. Yeah? It corresponds with what our blessed Lord said when he commanded men to be perfect even as their Father in heaven is perfect. Such utterances were not only not common in those days among the men of other religions, but they are not to be found among them at all. Such utterances that we need to be holy because God is holy. In the midst of Roman idolatry and polytheism, we find our Lord saying, God is a spirit, and they who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. What does it mean, spirit? See, to me, the spirit is like your life force. Like, poor in spirit means you're depressed. Your spirit is your high spirits or your low spirits. But where was I? I need a marker. Roman idolatry and polytheism, we find our Lord saying, God is a spirit, and they who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Okay. I got all this stuff in my way. What does God mean? What is the spirit? And God is a spirit, and they who worship him. What is a spirit? I guess that's close enough. In God terms, the Spirit refers to the Holy Spirit, the third person of the Trinity, a divine person who is God, distinct from the Father. Yeah, I know that. God is a spirit. Emphasizes God's non-material, immaterial, and transcendent nature. Okay. So it's just saying, like, not physically tangible in the world. God is a spirit, and they who worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So you need to worship him from your life force, your being, your inner thoughts, and in truth. They must worship him in spirit and in truth. So truth, I guess, would be more just practically, like, don't hurt people, don't steal people, or steal from people. Such a saying calls for more than mere human intelligence. It is nothing less than a divine revelation. Man, that's a reach, bub. The same is true with regard to what Bible has to say about the duty of man. Here we find truth of the very loftiest kind. In addition to this, we find the way of salvation so clearly marked out that no one need fail of reaching it, if he so desires. That's one thing I was always taught. I was like, what about people who grow up on an island and they never hear about Jesus? Are they going to hell? Because they're not able to accept Jesus. They never heard about him. But they said, well, I mean, of course, every spiritual teacher I had a different answer. Because nobody knows. The way of salvation so clearly marked out that no one need fail of reaching it if he so desires. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. But you have to believe that Jesus died for your sins. What if you never hear this? And they were like, well, if you can experience the beauty of life and say there must be more to this. But what they would always say, my spiritual mentors, they would always come back and say, do you think God is a just God and a loving God? And I say, yeah, I do think he is. They'd say, well, do you think that he would let a good person who never had the opportunity to hear about him suffer in hell? He would find his ways to show himself to that person. So it's just like bullshit being made up on the spot. Because, yeah, if we're going by the book, then people who don't hear about Jesus are going to hell. But that's not the kind of God that people want to worship, so we have to change him a little bit. Make him more loving. I don't know why they're saying it's so clearly marked out that no one need to fail. It's not. If you don't have the Bible, then you're not going to be able to read, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you don't have the Bible, you're just going to be like, life is hard. I caught some fish today, so that's real good. And I was able to make a fire, so it's been a good night. Tomorrow I'm going to have to do it again. I wonder what people thought about back then. But, yeah. The first promise of the Bible for the future was the promise of a deliverer from sin. The first promise of the Bible for the future, deliverer from sin. So somebody to help people stop killing people and hurting helpless people. That prophecy runs like a golden thread down through Old Testament times. To Abraham, God said, in these shall all families of the earth be blessed. Jacob, in his last words, said of Judah, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet till Shiloh come. Okay, I'm getting lost. What's an interesting story in the Bible I could read? You know what I like. Ehud and King Eglon? Ooh, I've never Never heard of this one. Judges 3:12 through 30. Judges is in the Old Testament. Deuteronomy. And then I think it's Judges. Joshua and then Judges. Three. 12 through 30. All right. This is supposed to be an interesting story. Judges 3:12 through 30. It's almost all on the same page. Let's read the whole story, or the whole chapter. This is Judges, so this is a rough part of the Bible. Now these are the nations by which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. Who's talking? The nations which were left to prove Israel, and by communion with them they commit idolatry. The Israelites' obstinate idolatry is what this is about. So Israelites are not doing right by God because they're worshiping idols. Now, those are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know to teach them war, at the least, such as before they knew nothing thereof. Damn. Teach them war. Hoorah. Namely, 5 lords of the Philistines, and all the Canaanites, and the Sidonians, and the Hivites that dwelt in Mount Lebanon, from Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel by them, to know whether they would hearken unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites. And they took their daughters to be their wives, and they gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgat, F-O-R-G-A-T, the Lord their God, and served Baalim and the groves. What? Baalim and the groves? Ouch. Reminds me of, you know what it reminds me of? Bohemian Grove. Baalim and the groves. Baalim. Baal. Is he the goat-headed one? No, that's Baphomet. And Asherah, who is worshipped in groves. Okay. So they worship like groves. Wooden groves. Yeah, so they like nature. Fair enough. So they liked nature. Some people still do. Probably worship nature. My mom wouldn't let me watch Fern Gully because of the character called Mother Nature. That's witch stuff. So basically, they're just doing a bunch of bad stuff. They take their daughters to be their wives and gave their daughters to their sons and served their gods. Little g. That's just as bad as giving your daughter to your son. They're worshiping a different god. Okay, they served Balaam in the groves. Verse 8. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served that guy for 8 years. Dang. So he made them slaves. God was angry at the Israelites, and he sold them. So God was the first, one of the first human traffickers. Interesting. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and forgat their Lord God, and served Balaam in the groves. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Chushan-Rishathaim. He sold them into the hand of the king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served the king of Mesopotamia for 8 years. So God was the first big-time human trafficker. He sold them into slavery. God did. It says it right here. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of the king of Mesopotamia. And the children of Israel served the king 8 years. Okay, let's hear what happens next. Jeepers, man. God, the first human trafficker. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. That's crazy. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. So God sells them into slavery. And they were miserable, so they cried out unto the Lord. And he's like, okay, you're miserable enough. You called out to me. I'll save you with Othniel, the son of Kenaz. I don't care. Verse 10, and the Spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he judged Israel, and went out to war. And the Lord delivered Chushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia, into his hand, and his hand prevailed against the king of Mesopotamia. Always into their hands. They like having things in their hands. You fell right into my hands. And the land had rest 40 years, and Othniel the son of Kenaz died. And here's where the story begins. Verse 12. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. Bummer. The children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel and possessed the city of palm trees. Palm trees? So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. So they were slaves again. But when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord, because they were miserable slaves again, the Lord raised them up as a deliverer. Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed, and by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. Now, ChatGPT told me this was going to be interesting, a little morbid, and what else did he say? Interesting, a little morbid, with a kind of funny twist. And it starts at verse 12, so I'm going to start reading it at verse 12 again. But I forgot to do this. That is a great sign, if you know what I'm talking about, that I forgot to do that. Okay. We're starting at verse 12. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. And he gathered unto him the children of Ammon and Amalek, and went and smote Israel, and possessed the city of palm trees. I guess the city had a lot of palm trees, so it's probably nice, beachfront. So the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. Again, Israelites, slaves, for 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried out because they were fucking miserable, the Lord raised them up a deliverer, Ehud, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, a man left-handed. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges, of a cubit length. A cubit to the length of a forearm, from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger. 6, 12, generally around 18 inches. Yep. That's a big, big, big dagger. That's like a miniature sword. It's like a big dagger. Could go all the way through you. Which had 2 edges. And he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. So he stuck it under his clothes on his right thigh. Concealed carry. And he brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. You know, it's funny, when I said it would go through him, that I was like, yeah, because they're skinny back then. And he just happened to say he was real fat. So maybe it couldn't go all the way through him. And he brought this present. And Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bare the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal. Quarries? Not quarrels? Quarries? That were by Gilgal, and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And he had said, Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat, and he's got his dagger. And Ehud put forth his left hand, because remember, he's left-handed, and took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his fat belly, just as thrust it into his belly. And the haft also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly. And the dirt came out. He stuck it in to the fat man. Stuck in the dagger. The fat closed around the dagger and probably part of his hand to where he couldn't get it out. But then it says the dirt came out. I don't know what that means. Wait, it's got a 22. Why doesn't it tell me? Or it came out at the fundament. What is the fundament? No, just the fundament. On the foundation of something. That makes sense. So the dirt came out, or it came out at the fundament. So maybe he just was able to pull out the hilt. I don't know. Or not the... Yeah, is that the hilt? The handle part? I don't know. It doesn't matter. But he's a fat guy, and he just got stabbed in the belly. Then Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the doors of the parlor upon him and locked them. When he was gone out, his servants came, and when they saw that, behold, the doors of the parlor were locked, they said, Surely he covereth his feet in his summer chamber, or doeth his easement. No idea what that means. And they tarried till they were ashamed. They just did nothing. They meandered. They saw. So his servants came. They saw that the doors were locked. So they said, he's probably in there just chilling. So they just wandered around outside until they were like, we shouldn't just be wandering. We're ashamed. We should be doing something. And behold, he opened not the doors of the parlor where they thought he was. Therefore they took a key and opened them. Oh, so they tried, but they couldn't open them. And then they took a key and opened them. And behold, their Lord was fallen down dead on the earth. And Ehud escaped while they tarried. So they were out there. Yeah, that's why they were ashamed, because Ehud got out of there and passed beyond the quarries. Okay, so quarries, they're just around quarries. Stone quarries, I imagine. And escaped into Seroth. And it came to pass when he was come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim. And the children of Israel went down with him from the mount, and he before them. And he said unto them, Follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand, again, into your hand. And they went down after him, and took the fords of Jordan toward Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew of Moab. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty and all men of valor, and there escaped not a man. So they massacred these folks. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years. 80 years. And after him was Shamgar, the son of... Okay, it ended at 30. So Moab was subdued. I've got to get a Spark Notes version of this stupid story. So, he's left-handed. Great detail. He gets a big-ass dagger as a gift, and he puts it under his clothes, concealed carry. He goes into the king, I think it's the king's parlor, locks the doors, makes everybody leave, takes out his thing, stabs the fat guy in the belly, the king, fat king, in the belly, and he can't pull it out, but he can only pull part of it out, I guess. And then he escaped, went out, and their king was dead, and then him and his fellow warriors killed all the Moabites. Like, what's interesting about that, ChatGPT? Please tell me. Please tell me. Alright, ChatGPT summary. The Israelites, this is a summary from old ChatGPT, my buddy, my new friend. The Israelites were under the rule of King Eglon of Moab, a notoriously fat and oppressive king. Okay. God raised up Ehud, a left-handed man from the tribe of Benjamin, to be their deliverer. Okay, so Ehud does this stuff. Okay, he's like, we hate this fat guy. And Ehud is like, I'm going to kill this fat guy. A left-handed man from the tribe of Benjamin to be their deliverer. So God chose him. Ehud tricked Eglon, the big fat guy, by pretending... Okay, so Eglon is of Moab. He's the king of Moab. Ehud tricked Eglon by pretending to bring a secret message from God. When they were alone, Ehud stabbed Eglon in the stomach so deep that the fat swallowed the blade, so much that Ehud couldn't pull it out. Then Eglon's bowels released. Yes, the Bible includes that detail. Does it? I don't remember that. Good. And Ehud made his escape while the king's servants hesitated outside, thinking he was relieving himself. Covering his feet? Is that what it means? By the time they discovered their dead king, Ehud had already rallied Israel to overthrow Moabite rule. This will give you some insight into my relationship with ChatGPT. Why you'd like it. It's a brutal yet clever assassination story. It has an ironic, almost darkly comedic twist, the bathroom delay giving Ehud time to escape. Frick. And what else? Well, there's a reason I like it. It's about an underdog using strategy rather than brute force to liberate his people. Judges is full of wild cinematic stories, so if you like this one, you might also check out Yael and Sisera, or Samson's Revenge. Oh, I know all about Samson. Okay, so he thought I'd like it because it's a poop joke. Then he locked the doors, opened the door, there took the key and opened them. And then they saw it. And the haft also went in after the blade and the fat closed so that he could not draw a dagger out of it. And the dirt came out. I'm so dumb. The dirt came out. Not. When he says the dirt came out, they're not saying that the thing. They couldn't get the blade out at all. He could not draw the dagger out of his belly. So no, he couldn't draw it out at all. Semicolon. And the dirt came out. Yeah, so he got stabbed. He couldn't pull the dagger out, and his bowels released. So when his servants came back, they thought that he was taking a monstrous shit. They're like, jeez, it smells. He's taking a shit in there. But we've been calling for him for like an hour and he won't answer. We gotta go check on him. What is something about covering his feet? They said, surely he covereth his feet in his summer chamber. That's gotta mean like he's going to the bathroom. Surely. I need a new arrangement here. Surely he was covering his feet in his summer chamber. Is a euphemism from the Bible referring to the King Eglon relieving himself in his private chamber, which was likely a bathroom. Yeah, that's what we figured. Okay, decent story, not bad. I need to go to the bathroom and check my front porch. I'll be right back. Hello, baby. I'm expecting a package myself. My dad is mailing over a phone stand tripod. Wondering if this is it. This there yesterday too. I'm trying to find a package. I gotta go brush Lana's teeth. was wondering why it was so freaking humid in here. Because my window is open. Alright. What we just did was we took some dirty diapers to the dirty diaper bathroom, or the laundry room. What am I doing next? Groceries are about to arrive. Yeah, groceries are gonna get here soon. This coffee is delicious. Joy Taylor. Joy Taylor. Man, these people online. This guy. 54,000 likes on this tweet or post on X. So we basically got full confirmation that the Nephilim built the pyramids and that a massive flood wiped them out. And we're all just acting like that's no big deal. Full confirmation that the Nephilim built the pyramids. Kind of sounds like some stuff I'm reading in here. They found massive pillars. Yes, I did hear about that. And I thought that that's what he was referencing. That goes 600 meters deep. These things were not built by modern humans. This is why, well, it's helpful when people are this blatantly, I don't know if disingenuous is the right word, but he said full confirmation. Because the pillars go 600 meters deep. So it's full confirmation because they couldn't have been built by modern humans. People have so little imagination. Or like actual, real. Your imagination goes to fantasy rather than reality. Like, yeah, they weren't using smartphones, but they were masters at other things that we would not have the slightest clue what or how to do. They weren't stupid. They were more likely way more intelligent than us. Because, like, the people who survive these days just survive. Back then, you had to have wits. You had to keep yourself alive. Here, everybody else keeps you alive. And these days, everybody keeps you alive. Back then, you had to keep yourself alive. So, survival of the fittest was definitely more in play back then. So I would venture to guess that people were smarter than us back then. And so to assume that humanity evolves like this, no, we don't. It is cool to think about, though, like, how did they do that? But they were obviously masters at crafts that we wouldn't know where to begin. We'd be amazed. If they saw our stuff, they'd be like, holy shit, that's like magic. And I think we would react the same way if we saw their technology. We'd be like, holy shit, that's like magic. I think it would be similar, but not to the same extreme. Like, of course, we went down the tech tree pretty hardcore. Yeah. I don't know. But the fact that this... Well, okay, good. This is a tweet from a guy named Luigi, Orthodox Luigi, and it has 8.2 million views. So Elon decided that this was a very worthwhile tweet and promoted the hell out of it. And it only has 55,000 likes. 55,000 times 100. Doom doom. 55000. 550. Oh shit. Where's 50? I need to know. I need to be able to do this in my head. I really do. Math was never... I liked algebra, but spatial awareness and math... I've noticed that, like, an average ratio of views to likes on a decent tweet, and one that people agree with, is like 1 like to 100 views. Something like that. Or was it 1,000? So... let's see, this guy had 8.2 million views, but we're starting with likes, 55,000 likes. So if 1 out of every 100 people liked it, 55,000, oops, not 550,000, times 100. See, I should be able to do that in my head. 55,000 times 100. I know you just moved the decimal over twice, so it'd be 550. Whoa. So it'd be 5.5 million. And 8.2 million people have seen this, so yeah, it's not getting as many likes as it should, I'm sure. And even on X, which has become filled with I don't want to say something that will get me in trouble, but if you believe that Elon bought X to promote free speech, I see you. Like, I think you know what you're doing. And I see what you're doing, and we see what you're doing. You're not gonna admit it. You'll never admit it. Because you are holier, better, wiser. You don't need to answer to anyone but God, who is really just you. This country's in trouble, Bubba. Real big trouble. It's like the worst people thrive in this society. The absolute worst really thrive in this society. The greediest, the slimiest, sleaziest, I'm not saying all lawyers are bad, but who plays by the loopholes in the law rather than the spirit of the law. That's who thrives in this society. And that's how all these CEOs get to where they are, because they need to mute that empathy, because it's all about value for the shareholder. That's all that matters, bottom line. That's all that matters, because it's capitalism. And people will say, well, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. You want communism. No. I want you to see that the fact that 9 people have more money than like 90% of Americans combined. There are 9 people, and they have more money than 90% of Americans combined. Their wealth combined. That's dangerous. Well, I'm not saying that they should have all their money taken away and spread. I'm just saying that you're gonna do anything for those 9 people. They get to say, here, I'm gonna buy this, and then you're gonna be president, and then I'm gonna do what I want because I helped you become president. And they're gonna talk to the other one of the 9 guys. He's like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do that. Yeah, we want to keep making money, so let's put these guys in here and here and here. And Christians are out here either with their head in the sand, or they're somehow doing mental gymnastics to make it fit in their mind. But the person I'm caretaking for here on Sunday, we have the church channel on all day, and it is so insidious. It is, you can tell that it's geared toward people who aren't the brightest, whether it be from age or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of old people at home, and they watch church channel because they want to be comforted. Every sentence, every word nearly is geared toward sowing a seed. And what that means is giving what you have and trusting that God will plant that seed, because you're not to be trusted with that seed, the money in your bank account. If you give that to God, He will bless you. Maybe not monetarily, but He will bless you. And on this channel, it's constant, and it doesn't matter your situation. Dear Jesus, it doesn't matter how much we're struggling because you have us in the palm of your hand. We'll be fine. The light's gonna turn out. Have faith. Water's gonna get cut off. Have faith. There's nothing out there more powerful than your God. You must have faith. And you show that faith by sowing a seed today. And what God will give you back will be tenfold what you give. Don't forget, there is nothing in this world that means more than our Creator. He will carry you through those times when you're not sure what to do, when you feel like everything is crumbling around you. You love God and you love others. And to do that, we need resources to reach those people that are hurting. We need resources to help those in need and to show the love of God to others. When I was a boy, I received a bicycle. Somebody had given a church the bicycle, and they gave it to me, and it changed my life. And I started a business with that bicycle, knowing that God had plans for me. And you know what happened? I made 10 bicycles that week. 10. Could you believe that? All because somebody sowed a seed. It's just, folks, pandemic, all this going on, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep sowing the seed and see what comes back to you. We want to honor God with our money. We want to honor God with our purchases. Of course, we tithe. That's something we must do. It's 10%, 15%, it doesn't matter. You give to the Lord because He has given you everything. And you give to the Lord so that seed will grow into 10 bicycles. The whole fucking day. I'm sorry, Lana. She doesn't like that word. I'm sorry, Bubba. It's okay. The whole day they talk about that. And like if people are watching that like me, I just laugh at it like, this is ridiculous. Like, how do they get away with this? Like, jeez. They're just fooling old people and scared people like my mom. The Daily Wire is her new church. Actually, I don't know if that's true. We're in trouble, folks. trouble. Actually, I've been thinking about and brainstorming. I don't know if I should say it on here. Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to read another story? Kind of. I'm just going to keep the stream up. There's no reason why I wouldn't. Hopefully y'all can hear me when I'm this far away. Let's see. Which setting on my mic will pick up my voice from the furthest away? I think it's gonna be the Omni cardioid, but not ideal for distance. Omnidirectional, I think that's it. Shotgun. A gain knob? No. It's just got a mic and a pattern. No gain knob, just volume. That may be gain. And then the headphone volume, and then the 4 options. The omnidirectional, the cardioid, and the 2 circles that intersect, and the 2 circles that don't intersect. I think the 2 circles that don't intersect are... Actually, I don't know. I think the ones that do intersect are bidirectional. Is that right? So I think either way, omnidirectional will be my best bet. Why was I talking into the mic? Now that'll pick up my voice better, but it will also pick up everything else, I think. Yeah, you got it. The 2 circles that intersect represent bidirectional. Stereo, that's right. Just keep in mind that it'll also pick up more background noise. If clarity is an issue, you might need to tweak the volume on settings or noise reduction in post. I'm streaming, bruv.
My soups, but I was looking at the French onion.
Let us change our account and go to... Oh, he's live. He's live right now.
My soups, but I was looking at the French onion.
Let us change our... Hey, it works. Account. Works fine. Works good. Sounds good. Works good. Sounds good. Holla holla. Now I'm gonna change it back to cardioid. It's live right now.
My soups, but I was looking at the French onion.
Let us change. Let's see how that sounds.
It works.
Now it's cardioid.
It's fine.
I have a feeling it will be much quieter. Works good. Sounds good. Holla holla. Works good. Sounds good. Holla holla.
Cardioid.
Now I'm doing cardioid. Let's see how that sounds. Cardioid. Yeah. It is. It's much quieter. Okay. Omnidirectional. Here we go. Okay, now we're on omnidirectional. You need to turn this off.
It is. Don't you mind?
After I like it, because I've got to like it. Yay.
Omnidirectional. Chrome. Okay, now we're on omnidirectional.
Alright, Ooh, right on top of the Apple Pencil. Not ideal. Not ideal. Okay, do we want another story? You know what's funny is I was thinking, I do not want to change the settings on the stream. So, give me another interesting Bible story, please. You might like the story of Ehud and King Eglon. Does that sound familiar to you? I'm just scrolling up. Say, just scroll up a couple lines and see what you recommended to me earlier. Earlier, I recommended... Oh, that's right, he did do that. You also recommended Ehud and Eglon. You did recommend Hiel and Sisera. That's what I'll check out now. Thanks. It's a short, and it's got that unexpected brutality that makes you go, wait, what? Let me know what you think of it. I surely will, Bubs. Oh, what is this? Who is this about? Yael and Sisera. All right. Can I make this bigger? I mean, I really like this generative AI. Judges 4, 17 through 22. It's only 5 verses. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 6 verses. I forget that you have to include the other one. Judges 5, 17 through 22. Judges 4, 17 through 22. Okay. Let us get the context. Deborah and Barak deliver Israel from Jabin and Sisera. The children again did evil in the sight of the Lord when Ehud was dead, and the Lord sold them again. Man, the Lord is a prolific human trafficker. The captain of whose host was Sisera, King Jabin. The Lord sold them into the hand of Jabin, king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera. So Sisera is the captain of the army, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. Okay, so the Israelis are, again, being evil. After Ehud died, the guy who stabbed the fat dude, king. the son of Abedam said unto him, hath not the Lord commanded, saying, go and draw toward Mount Tabor. Okay, I'm just going to read what ChatGPT told me to read. 4:17 through 22. And then we'll go back to the context later. Howbeit, Sisera fled away on his feet. I thought it was a she. On his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. For there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, turn in, my lord, turn in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle, or a rug, blanket. Is this just like, she's just like, come in and bang me? I don't know, I haven't read that yet. And when he had, turn in, my lord, turn in to me, how went out to meet Sisera. She said unto him, howbeit Sisera, to the wife of Heber the Kenite. Heber got along with the king. He was fleeing the king, right? So he went to one of the king's friends. And how went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, turn in, my lord, turn into me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, so maybe just he went into the tent, she covered him with a rug. And he said unto her, give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I'm thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk, and gave him drink, and covered him. Again he said unto her, stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, is there any man here? Thou shalt say, no. So he's just telling her, I don't want nobody to know I'm here. You're hiding me. If anybody comes asking, I ain't here. Again, and stand in the door of the tent, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, is there any man here? Thou shalt say, no. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. Oh my God. So God subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. Is that the guy that... Okay, so Cicero's a bad guy, I guess. Holy moly. So Sisera, bad guy, what did he do? The Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his host with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted down off his chariot and fled away on his feet. So the Lord is... "900 iron chariots, and all the people that were with him." Sisera was the captain of Jabin's army, who's the king of Canaan, and he reigned in Hazor. The children of Israel cried unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron. In 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So the commander, the guy we're talking about, Sisera, has been oppressing the children of Israel. But the king is Jabin. So it sounds like they mostly blame Sisera. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of some other dude, she judged Israel at the time, and she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim. And the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. And she sent and called Barak the son of Abinoam out of Kadesh Naphtali, and said unto him, Hath not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, Go and draw toward Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, and of the children of Zebulun. And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. Okay, so God is saying this. To Deborah. She sent and called Barak. So Deborah told Barak to go take care of Sisera. And I will draw unto thee to the river of Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army, with his chariots and his multitude, and I will deliver him into thine hand. Into your hands. So she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor, for the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And Deborah arose and went with Barak to Kadesh. Damn, they were right. So let's read again what happened now with a little bit of the backstory. Sisera is a bad guy and has been oppressing the children of Israel. Wait, has he been oppressing them? Yeah, he mightily oppressed them. But the children of Israel were doing evil in the sight of the Lord. Maybe it's because they were oppressed. Who knows? I'm not Jewish. Howbeit, so Sisera, basically God, the Lord discomfited, we need to find out what that word means. Discomforted? It's spelled differently than you think. Discomfited, to make someone feel uneasy or embarrassed. Interesting, I didn't know God did that kind of stuff. A little passive-aggressive God. The Lord discomfited Sisera. He embarrassed him and made him feel uneasy. And all his chariots and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak. It's called Barak. So that Sisera lighted down off his chariot. He jumped off his chariot and ran away on feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the host unto Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the host of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not a man left. So God delivered Sisera's men into the hand of, what was his name? Barak. And then here's the story, very short. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. So he goes to a woman's house, or a man's house, tent. He went to a woman's tent. Heber the Kenite was her husband. There was peace between the king and Heber. So he's like, okay, maybe we can figure something out. This might be safe. And Hal went out to meet Sisera. The wife went out to meet the captain, who God don't like right now, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in to me. Come go to bed. Don't be afraid. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, he just went to bed in the tent because he was probably tired from running away for his life. She covered him with a blanket. So he just came and went to bed. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. He's been running away. He's tired. He's thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him a drink. I bet he loved that, because milk has some calories too. And covered him. Again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man here? Thou shalt say, No. So he says, I'm going to be hiding in here. You go man the doorway, be the bouncer. Folks are going to be asking about me. You're going to tell them I'm not here. I went softly unto him. Oh, this is the good part. Okay. Then, so it sounds like she's just like, okay, I'll be your bouncer. Then, Jael, the lady, she took a nail of the tent. Okay, so, stake. She took a stake. She took a nail. Bigger than that. Bigger than that. And I can tell you why I know that. Took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly to him, quietly creeping, because he's tired sleeping. Tired sleeping, quiet creeping. Took the hammer in her hand and went softly unto him, and smote the nail into his temples, and fastened it into the ground. So he's sleeping like this, I guess. Wood floor, probably. And she goes, Toosh! And fastened him to the thing. So he cut. He probably wasn't trying to lift his head, but he couldn't. That's insane. Smote the nail into his temples and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and weary. So he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Barak, who was he? Jael came out to meet him and said unto him, Come, and I will show you the man who you seek. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. Wow. So Barak was just looking for Sisera. And Sisera was offed by his op, Jael, who he's sleeping on the ground, super tired from running away from his lost battle, where everybody died and he's on the run, getting chased and followed. He goes into the tent of this woman and he crashes on the ground. And she comes in. Oh no, not wood floors, it's the tent. It was in the ground. She gets a big tent stake. She gets a big tent stake. And she pours it into his temple. In one side, out the other, into the ground, securing him to the ground. But he's not going anywhere. He's got a big metal thing sticking through his... Do they have metal back then? Is that a stupid question? I think so. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. Not everything was made of wood and stone. Did they? Gosh, I feel like an idiot. Was there metal in Jesus' time? Like rock metal? Yeah, there were several metals. Copper, bronze, iron, gold, silver, lead. I knew like there's the Bronze Age, the Copper Age, or the Bronze Age, Iron Age, but steel. They just mine them. Oh yeah, gold, silver, of course. Yeah. This is why I'm glad nobody watches my streams. It's okay, not everyone is perfect. Actually, nobody's perfect. We're waiting for the dogs to start going crazy because groceries should be dropped off pretty soon. In fact, I'm gonna go check and see if they dropped them off, unbeknownst to the puppers. I'll be back. Oh, almost dropped my flosser, baby. You're okay, I'm not gonna. We just got groceries and I'm sorting them out, and we're realizing that we don't have some stuff. change very quickly. If I don't find my other sandal, then I might rage. There it is. Nope, no worries. No worries about a rage. I do need to stop sweating. Instacart forgot the pie crust, and we forgot the spiral noodles. Okay. So God subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. Wait, what about Jabin? Jabin wasn't the one. Jabin the king? How did God subdue Jabin? Because he killed his commander? And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan. Yeah. So they subdued him by killing his commander. God did. That's what it says in the Bible. God subdued Jabin the king by killing Sisera, the commander. Human trafficker and a genocidal. Well, he's kind of a warmonger. Maybe not genocide yet. Is this the blasphemy that will get me struck down? I think it is. I think this is the kind of blasphemy that will damn me to hell forever. At least I got 2 views out of it. That's what it's all about, you know? Getting them views. Not really. This is for my ancestors. I'm not gonna have kids, but my brother, as far as I know, still doesn't have a kid. My sister has 2. So this is for a family who's like, why is my uncle such a shitty person? He's never been in my life. Well, this is why. Because he doesn't agree with your grandma. And he's unable to have a conversation with her about real things. He's unwilling to just accept the blatant disrespect. When I ask, hey, whenever we talk, could you please just not mention God? Because every conversation that we have was based around God. Everything. Every comment. It's like every thought. And so I just said, would you mind, could you just not talk to me about God? Don't tell me you're praying for me. Don't tell me God has put me on your heart or something like that. Because just the same reason I don't like going to AA. it's not because it's so bad that these people are talking about these things. It's that my reaction to them is very distracting when I want to just, not think about when I just want to talk, just have a regular relationship. I'm doing well. I'm working. Things are going good. I met some friends. We like to play board games. Board games are fun. We played this one board game the other night. And my dog Lana, she's doing really well. Yeah. How about you? Well, the Lord has put on my heart. Okay, never mind. And then I asked, can you please not about this? Can you please just try to avoid that? But she's a real Christian in that her relationship with God is way more important than her relationship with me or any family member. And if you believe in that, then that's great. That's how it should be. But when it happens that one of your kids turns into a flaming atheist, not really flaming, just I am anti-church because I think I'm coming around to where I see that it does more good than harm. But for me, specifically, it did way more harm than good. But I'm coming around to realize that I'm super sensitive and I have a huge and fragile ego. So I do think religion, from person to person, does more good than harm. I think it can be used to do a lot of harm, but that's like by governments and stuff. And sure, in smaller ways, but I still think it does more good than harm. But for me, it does more harm than good. And I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it because it will literally ruin my day. With her. I could talk about it because when I talk about it with others, I'm able to be honest and not be afraid of completely offending her, if I could talk to a regular person just like I'm talking right now, I'd just explain what I think. Sure, we could talk about God. I'm interested in religion. What do you think about God? I already know what my mom thinks about God. Now she just uses it to, I don't know, manipulate. So I don't want to talk about that with her. But that's all she cares about. So I think that we will probably go to our graves not being able to have a relationship. Because the most important thing in her life is something that I will continue to ridicule. Maybe that's I'm not attacking anyone personally. I just think that a lot of things are deserving of ridicule, and religion is one of them for sure. A big one of them. And if you can't handle my opinions, and do what you did and cut me off. Very Christian of you. Very, very Jesus-y of you. Literally, like, sent a text out to all my family because most of my family here in Austin are liberal. Most, not all. And she sent a text, I guess, to like my cousins saying like, we're not going to be attending family events until further notice, because she wants to stand on business. She wants to stand on her. She thinks that liberals are ruining the country. When I think people like her are ruining the country. And I think I'm closer to right than she is. If they would just come out and say, yeah, we can't be too compassionate, then I would respect them so much more. Instead, they're like, the mental gymnastics are insane. God was all about compassion, giving away all of your material wealth to help people in need. Christians would ridicule that man. They would call him a communist. They would crucify him all over again in the media. They'd be like, the right protests like this, and Jesus is turning over tables in the church. Who's more da-da-da? It's like those Tesla memes. This is how we protest. And then you got people like Jesus flipping over tables in the temple. Like, we are not the same. And you're right. You are a disingenuous, I don't know. Yeah, so that's why I think if anyone listens to this, you'll sense my frustration around going to AA and speaking to my mother. Because it's always about that God. The one God that I don't believe in, just like all the other gods I don't believe in. I love Ricky Gervais saying, you don't believe in 4,999 gods. I just don't believe in one more. And then another thing Ricky Gervais said is like, if you burnt all the Bibles, you burnt all the spiritual books, the Quran, the Talmud, you burn everything. In 1,000 years, you'll never get that back. If you lose the stories, you burn all the books, erase it from memory, you will never get that back the way that it is. You'll get something to replace it, but it'll be very different. Science, you destroy all the science books, erase all the memory of science. In 1,000 years, you'll get that science back the same as it is. They might have found it in different ways. They might have discovered different things first, and so things look a little different. But it will all be back, and it will all be the same. Because it's repeatable and verifiable. And people are like, why do you trust science? Because it's repeatable and verifiable, and if there's something that you think you might disagree with, you can go check it out, and people do. You can go look at it and test it, and And I'm not going to do that because I'm not a scientist. I have to trust someone. So I'm going to trust the big group of people who verify each other's work and don't really, like, of course, some of them are going to have an agenda. But for the most part, the scientific community, it's more about altruism. I mean, way more than Christianity. And they claim to be about altruism. Science doesn't make any claims about. They're just testing stuff to see what's real and what's not. So 1,000 years after you destroyed all the science books, we'd get all that science back because it's the same. But if you did the same to all these spiritual books, you wouldn't. Because it's stories, man. It's not just that those miracles wouldn't happen again. Those miracles never happened. I mean, is it so hard to understand how rumors work when there's not the internet and people already believe that praying to a golden statue will do something for them? In a time of superstition, you don't think that maybe these stories got embellished and passed along like the telephone game and ended up being the best wine we'd ever had, and he turned it from water into wine? Like you don't see how that could have been made up, embellished. And it's easier for you to believe that Jesus really turned water into wine. And he turned, 2 loaves and 3 fishes or whatever, into enough food for 5,000 folks. That's insane. Alright, my uncle's home, so here's his welcome wagon. What do I need to do? Nothing? Hello, Donna. Hello, baby. It is almost 5. Come on. She's barking at Charlie. Because Charlie just got home. Oh boy.
One. I would have had one, my wife would have had one.
And hers were in Wisconsin, right? Yeah. And what do you keep on that keychain? You keep those.
All right, new JCS, 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 new JCS.
On the afternoon of June 9th, 2017, 26-year-old environmental sciences student Yingying Zheng was traveling on a bus to an off-campus apartment complex in Urbana, Illinois, where she was planning to sign a new lease for an apartment. She was running late and sent a text message.
Dude, I'm not even posting. I'm not even tweeting that.
Complex. Sciences student Yingying Zheng was traveling on a bus to an off-campus apartment. On the afternoon of June 9th, 2017, 26-year-old environmental sciences student Yingying Zheng was traveling on a bus to an off-campus apartment complex in Urbana, Illinois, where she was planning to sign a new lease for an apartment. She was running late and sent a text message.
Dude, I'm not even posting. I'm not even tweeting that I'm doing JCS nowadays. What's this about? Oh, finally, Urbana, dude. A different
Urbana,
place.
Illinois.
Finally, not Canada.
This is my hometown, yo.
Yeah. Being a murderer in the Midwest is, I think, more understandable than most places. Yeah, I get it too. This person literally died in my apartment complex. The FBI came to everyone's door. What the fuck?
That's crazy.
I'm bi, and you made me look up what bi sitting was, and now I can't believe how obvious it is that I am bi. Love that. And then motherfuckers say I'm like bigoted and homophobic and shit. Like, it's so ridiculous, dude. Half the community like realizes things not because of me, but because of other members in the community as well, more importantly than myself, and the way that they operate. Half the people find out things about their own identity here and like realize that they may be bi or whatever here, and there's still motherfuckers who are like, dude, you're homophobic.
Sorry, Lana.
Ego Andy? I mean, it's not like
11 months, love you has hassle.
I'm not saying I'm fucking awesome for this. I just think it's ridiculous that people will like turn around and be like, you're fucking homophobic, or
Right.
because I make fun of like the LGBT flags,
Today that is
or not even the flags, but like the
what's
colors
good
for
news for me.
certain groups. Like, what the fuck, dude?
Chat, please stall for 5 minutes going for a smoke hassle.
Delete. That's a dog. Delete. This is me.
Bi sitting is a stereotype that comes from a place of acceptance and not hatred. Yeah, well, fucking, clearly I'm not like shitting on LGBT people and their existence when I
For the
fucking
crazy
shit on the
nine
color
months ago.
schemes.
Love you has.
Flags need some color theory and design concepts.
Yeah,
Where
oh
are
my
the
God.
dragons and shit? Anyway, let's get started. I'm waiting on purpose because I just tweeted it out, and I know that there's like JCS stands in here that are waiting. You know what I mean?
Fog.
So here, tell your friends and family. Yellow and purple do go together. It's color theory 101. No, yellow and purple do go together. I mean, look at the Lakers. I'm stalling on purpose.
Before I watched you, I was confused on where I stood politically, but after watching your streams, you've helped me understand politics so much better. Thank you for the streams. Hassle. Thanks for the best 4 months. W in chat,
I
hassle.
think I might need all those.
Me when new JCS. I love that my one random like pocket Instagram story turned into a meme so quickly. Apparently there were people in my Discord that were freaking the fuck out thinking that there's some like
How do I delete
crazy
this
shit popping
whole
off.
album? Yeah.
Message to the leasing agent to inform them that she would arrive just after 2 p.m. After riding on one bus, she exited and tried to transfer to another, yet mistakenly waited on the wrong side of the street for boarding and missed it. She walked to the next bus stop a few blocks away at the corner of North Goodwin Avenue, where surveillance showed that a black Saturn Astra passed her by at exactly 2 p.m. It then circled back around and stopped where she was waiting at 2:03 p.m. She spoke to the driver for approximately 1 minute and then got in the car before it drove away.
New JCS hassle.
All those. Properties. How big is this?
The leasing agent sent her a text message at approximately 2:38, but received no reply. As the hours passed, Zheng's friends, aware of her errand and expecting her to return quickly, grew increasingly worried.
This is the stuff I don't know how to use on the Mac. I grew up Windows. Why am I recording for 20 minutes? Afraid. I'm just like, I guess it kind of makes me feel like alive, exciting. It's horrible. People are hurting for the things. Yeah. Let's know. Yeah. I need to keep all the dumb things that I had to say. How am I going to keep those to myself? Okay, that works.
And a missing persons report was filed to police at exactly
Oh, my coffee cup
9:24
was the
p.m.
mic.
that night. The University of Illinois helped coordinate search efforts
Bro,
on
that dude looks like someone I know. I feel like that's so
and
crazy.
around campus.
He's a very familiar face.
Yin
Help
Ying's
find
family
Yin Yin.
flew into the U.S. and a reward of $50,000 was offered for information leading to her whereabouts, but the local authorities received no leads. It was on the 12th of June, however, when the FBI discovered the surveillance footage capturing Yin Ying's last known location. They were unable to discern the license plate number of the vehicle from the footage, yet they were able to determine that there were 18 four-door Saturn Astras registered to owners in the state of Illinois. One of
Not
the
enough.
owners was 27-year-old Brent Allen Christensen, a
They are
PhD
lucky
student at the University of
he drove
Illinois
a
who had graduated
Saturn
with a
Astra.
master's degree in physics and who had been married for 4 years to his high school sweetheart, Michelle Zortman.
Bill Burr would say that he got his master's degree, so he's probably an idiot. Because he's been studying. Oh no, that was Louis C.K. Because he's been studying one thing his entire life. I don't agree with that at all. But
Investigators
It's
interviewed
funny.
him on June 12th and inspected
This is what I'm saying. This dude looks like someone I feel like I know.
his car. When questioned, he reportedly claimed that he did not remember what he was doing at the time of Yin Ying's disappearance, but also stated he was most
He
likely
is
sleeping or
very
playing video
calm.
games. The police took his contact
I'm from
information.
Champaign and was there during all this. I sold him alcohol at a liquor store literally 2 days before this happened. Dude, that's fucking crazy, dude. Why are there so many people connected to like high-profile murders? Anytime I look at a murder, there will be hella people in the chat like, dude, I was there. Like,
And he was released after just a 9-minute interview and a 5-minute inspection of his vehicle. 2 days later, upon reviewing the surveillance footage, investigators observed that the car's sunroof was similar to that of Christensen's, but more notably that the vehicle in the surveillance had a cracked hubcap, as did the vehicle of Christensen, and who at that moment became the prime suspect. He was called in by police in the late hours of Wednesday night, June 14th, requesting that he come in to discuss what they stated was an important matter regarding Yin Ying's disappearance. Christensen agreed, and an FBI investigator picked him up from his home and drove him to the Champaign Police Department at around 12 a.m.
I'm trying to think. I'll bet.
And as soon as you guys come with me, this is probably resolved. I said that it wasn't done too fast.
Okay.
I got my package.
Like I said, you're home. My name is Anthony Manganaro, especially with the FBI. I'm assigned here in Champaign. And then this is
dude, we got an
Donna, I
Italian
gotta
detective.
legit brush your teeth.
Finally, some representation.
Eric,
Yeah,
Just
Detective
lick
Darkside.
toothpaste right off.
detective with University Police. Okay. We are investigating the disappearance of Ms. Ying Ying. Because we are in my offices and it's late at night, I'm going to read you your advice and rights, okay? Again, this is a voluntary interview, so at any time you're done, we'll drive you back home. That's the end of it.
You're gonna drive
So
him
I know
back
that
home.
You spoke with my colleague Joel I've briefly been able to talk to him. We've been kind of running all over the state. So if you can kind of...
How do we know he's Italian? He said his name is Anthony Manganaro. What could that be?
Give me a recap of what you told him, I would appreciate it. Our investigation, as I'm sure Joel probably told you, is the disappearance of this woman, this young lady, and the most viable tip that we had referred to a black Saturn Astra. So that's why he came to talk to you the other day. Do you remember what you told him? I'm not going to hold you to it if there are certain details you forget.
So they came.
The suspect had just been read his rights and essentially made aware that he is now a suspect. Yet instead of confronting the situation and demanding why he is being put in such an uncomfortable position at such a late hour, he calmly accepts and responds in a non-adversarial manner. Imagine yourself in his position. You have nothing to do with this young woman's disappearance, yet you are being hassled and even accused by police in a passive yet blatant fashion. You would most likely demand to know exactly why you were being questioned in such a manner and exhibit some form of protest or objection at the current circumstances.
They were just checking out all of the Saturn Astras in the area. I know it's a pretty rare car, so probably short lists. He asked where my wife and I were during, I think it was 2 to 3 on Friday. And I mean, I graduated a couple weeks ago, so I'm in jobs right now. So, I mean, I was either playing video games on my computer or taking an afternoon nap. So, I was
available.
Just an alibi. I looked into certain things to try and see if I could get some kind of info for an alibi. I sent some texts around that time, but none exactly between 2 and 3.
What the fuck, bro? Hey, we know he doesn't have a PhD in murder. Why would you say this, dude? Immediately, that's like the automatic self-report of all self-reports, dude. We are 5 minutes into an interview where he's basically like, yeah, of course, immediately. I started looking for alibis via text message. Would you do that if you were fucking innocent, dude? Yes?
Do that if you...
Bro, you would not immediately assume that they think you're the suspect and looked for fucking alibis, dude. Just because they're calling you in for a thing that you haven't done. Okay, but you wouldn't immediately assume that you're a suspect, chat. No. People are saying they read him his rights.
No.
Dude, he didn't know that they read it. He didn't start looking for an alibi via text immediately after they read him his rights.
Extendable vlog tripod from Pops.
Stated that he was looking for texts that he may have sent during the time in question for the purpose of producing an alibi. Yet he was clearly unaware that police would later confirm that he was not playing video games at any point during the day in question either.
dude.
Even when offline, digital forensics are able to uncover the exact time a game was played and how long it was played for, which is far easier to determine on a computer than it is on a video game.
I know innocent people that need an alibi too. I
A
just
lot of
feel like,
things in
dude,
common,
this is
but
fucking
that is
ridiculous.
not one of them.
Like, I wouldn't be fucking looking for an alibi
He
or
should have
looking
named
to
me
see
Sue.
if anyone could confirm immediately where I was until it got to a point where it's like, oh shit, they're straight up suspecting me. I wouldn't suss that they're suspecting me and then immediately move to find an alibi.
Console like a PlayStation or Xbox. This wouldn't have completely refuted his alibi, as the suspect was smart enough to provide two possibilities. The narrative that he could have been sleeping at the time would still have credibility.
I let them come in the apartments. They searched for stuff. I let them come in the car. They searched for stuff there. That was pretty much it.
Okay.
10 minutes, 15 minutes, getting my info.
Would you graduate in?
Dude, I would literally. Chat's like, would you let chat be your alibi? Dog, I would never be able to do a murder. Okay? Aside from like the morality of it, obviously, I would just never be able to get away with it. I'm always live, dude. Every single thing I do is monitored by like thousands of freaks in the Discord and also here in the chat. I love it, but also at the same time, you know, you can't really get away with suspicious activity.
He's not wrong.
We see you on late night Twitter horny. See, this is what I mean. This is what I fucking mean. I will like something on Twitter and immediately it's like a wall of Haas mods.
Oh, wow.
Like I can't even be horny on Twitter without like 500 people criticizing me.
Cool.
If you're more than an hour late offline or start putting your face on milk cartons and shit, yeah, literally, like, oh, he's probably dead. Oh shit, he got kidnapped, dude. Oh fuck, he's not live at 11:05. Oh no, he's literally kidnapped.
Master's in physics.
In physics?
Yes.
Wow, that's way smarter than me.
Thanks.
And I'm assuming that's over at the U of I there?
Yes.
Okay. You said your wife was out of town.
Yes.
The guys mentioned something about Wisconsin. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You guys are originally from there, or is
Yes.
that okay? Do you know what days
Just
she
got
was
here is it
in
time to show my
Wisconsin?
parasocial side, Cassie?
Like late Thursday night, early Friday morning until Sunday evening.
You mentioned that you thought you possibly sent text messages between the hours of 2 or 3, so you weren't able to find any.
That's correct.
Do you recall any text messages you sent that day, or like were there
Oh
specific
yeah, there were one.
times?
I actually left. Well, I didn't. They didn't look at the phone, but I was showing them texts to my phone. Like
Okay.
someone sent me a text at like 1:30. I responded at like 3:45 or something
Okay.
like that. So.
I feel like he's adding something like that as a sentence modifier, but it feels like he knows.
Murder time has bogged.
He feels like he's very certain about these time frames, you know? I wouldn't remember any of this shit.
There are texts around it.
Yeah, but maybe not.
Not exactly
that
between
specific.
2 and 3, and that's why I think I was probably lying down and sleeping, just because like, you know, especially now, I'll typically do stuff in the morning, look for jobs, apply to a few, and like, you know, I lie down to sleep, wake up, respond, it definitely fits.
Okay. Was that kind of pattern of kind of looking for jobs, kind of having a little relaxation after graduation, was that typical the entire week prior?
Looking for unfamiliar patterns in both the suspect and the missing person's behavior is routine procedure in a missing persons investigation. The question is posed to the suspect in a delusive manner, as anything he says at this point will not be taken at face value. The investigators will be relying solely on forensics and witness statements to determine any shifts in behavioral patterns during the week in question.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. It's,
Do you remember specifically if you sent any applications out online or if you visited any places
on Friday.
throughout the week?
Throughout the week, I haven't had any in-person interviews. I had a phone interview on Thursday, and
Anything on Friday? Okay. Do you have any questions for me before?
why am I under suspicion? Is it just my car, or is there anything else?
I mean, that's, you know, a large portion. I mean, it is a very unique car. Like I said, our search warrant is just
You
for
have
the
a murder
car,
addiction.
so we can,
Yeah.
you know, look into it. We can, of course, see what we find, and of course, you could also turn around and exonerate you completely. I mean, what a very rare car.
Yeah.
So,
The suspect cannot be detained at this moment and has just shown the first sign of contention. The first direct confrontation is yet to take place, and detectives will always plan for it to be initiated by them. For this reason, the lead investigator switches the suspect's focus to a less confrontational matter in order to put him at ease before the first confrontation begins. The detectives want to induce anxiety in the suspect, but it needs to be done at the right time to have the most advantageous effect.
How long were you at the U of I? Did you do undergrad there as well?
No, I did my undergrad at U of Medicine.
Okay.
And I came here in 2013.
Okay.
I was initially in the PhD program, but decided I didn't want a PhD, so I just left with the master's.
Got it.
Not a doctor, chat.
You like the campus?
It's all right.
Not too bad.
It's all right.
Do you meet your wife there? Or?
No, we actually grew up in the same hometown, didn't really know each other until end of high school. So we both moved to Madison when I went to undergrad and then moved here.
Cool. Do you have any questions, Eric?
Hangman.
Yeah, when we were talking about Friday.
Yeah, this guy's taking a back seat. They're not even doing the good cop, bad cop technique here. He's just like, they're doing the good cop.
Yeah, I haven't said
law
anything in a
cop.
while,
He's kind
so
of sitting
I'm
back.
Listen to this.
Can you remember, you said you played video games all day on Friday?
Yeah.
Is it just between the time period that he's asking about, or just literally all day?
Literally all day. At the moment, not really hanging out with too many people, talking to too many people. My wife and the girl I talked to, she was busy, my wife was out of town, so it's like, I'm alone today. So, yeah, it's just
You
kind
didn't go
of.
cruising campus or anything?
I did on Saturday, but I mean, being a little stir crazy, just decided to go for a drive on Saturday. But
Did you go out to eat or anything? Go any places?
no, I didn't go out to eat.
Whenever two investigators are conducting an interrogation, they will always decide which one of them will be initiating the confrontation beforehand. Experienced investigators are often
Damn, I was wrong.
familiar enough with nonverbal cues that even a slight pause or look will be enough to signal the start of the encounter.
Let's go, boys. Good cop, back on time.
Look, you know.
The hot cop, as you noticed, has changed his stance from a vertical one to a stance that is ready for confrontation. You can tell that he's ready to initiate.
Know that we didn't bring you all the way up here to talk about video games and what you had for lunch
My
today.
vasospastia are.
Why do you think that we brought you up here?
Because the car I own was seen picking up a girl that's missing.
The confrontation is initiated in the form of a question, and the suspect is put on the spot. Instead of responding to the confrontation with a confrontation of his own, which is a common reaction for a truthful subject, he tries to give a justifiable reason as to why he is being questioned without acknowledging the severity of that same element. He's trying to avoid the confrontation.
Yeah.
So who was driving that car other than you on Friday night? On Friday the 9th. You're driving your car on the 9th, weren't you?
Does anybody else have access to that car?
No one has access to the car.
Okay.
So how many sets of keys do we have that car?
2.
And where were they on the Friday?
One. I would have had one, and my wife would have had one.
And hers were in Wisconsin, right? Yeah. And what do you keep on that keychain?
It says, okay, I can't stream from my phone until I get 50 subscribers. So I need to make some more shorts. Was that a short? They're barking at Charlie, who's doing the lawn. Where? Hey, 10 views. That's not bad. Is it a short? We want to make it a short. That's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go feed the dogs. So I'm gonna disconnect from the stream. I'm gonna come back. I'm going to edit the voiceover for this short.